Social, emotional learning, it's the new wave, where culturally responsive meets innovation.
Hey, Resilient ones. My name is Kristen Hopkins, founder of the Dangers of the Mind Education Fund and creator of Black SEL. I'm a social and emotional expert, curriculum developer, and social entrepreneur who believes in the holistic development of Black youth and adults through culturally responsive and affirming resources. Welcome to the Black SEL podcast, formerly known as Dangers of the Mind.
Welcome to Black SEL, blackity black, blackity black, 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 the social and emotional hub for Black people. I'm so excited because here at Black SEL, we open up a safe space for Black people to share their experiences and expertise and be vulnerable, all while highlighting key social and emotional skills. Our goal is to make SEL relatable, tangible, and sustainable in Black communities. So today's guest is no other than our good brother, Derrick Beasley, aka Beasley. All right. Before we jump into this episode, I want you to know everything about Beasley. I'm going to read a little bit about him, and then we'll get into today's amazing episode on Black SEL and Black creatives. So Beasley is a Nashville, Tennessee born, Durham, North Carolina raised visual artist, passionate about his artistic capabilities and inner work so he can take action, making this world a better place. So excited to dive into what that's about. With a professional and civic background in education, environmental, and mobility justice, his formal education includes a Bachelor of Sociology from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, A&T. So this is an Aggie pride right here, okay? And a Master's of Public Administration from Georgia State University. His artistic education includes independent studies, mentorship, and practice. And his desire to better his community led him to take on the responsibility of answering three persisting questions, which are, what would make this world better? How can I work to create it today? And what do I need to heal in myself to create it? So listen, welcome to Black SEL.
Blackity black, black, the black, the black.
Yes. Welcome, Beasley. I'm so excited for you to be joining us today. Tell us how you feel. Let's check in on our emotional scales. You know?
I feel great today.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be here and to be talking to you. And this is a challenging morning for me, but this is a great space. This is a safe social emotional space.
Come on.
To be in here.
So let's tap in then. You know, we're on emotional scales right now. What was challenging? What was this one thing that might have been challenging?
Some team dynamics. A space I'm looking to get into, a new studio space, and there's some challenges with that space. Some location challenges.
Okay.
Challenges with some of the potential neighbors and who they might be. And how comfortable I would be being next to that particular type of entity. That sounds like it could be something crazy. And it is crazy. So, you know.
And you navigated it too.
Just navigating, trying to make some decisions.
So, here at Black SEL, we believe that we are resilient, not just resilient, but resilient, which is RESEL, right? Okay. And so, resilient is like overcoming obstacles really quickly, and facing all these things, which is overcoming them. But resilient, we're overcoming them with social and emotional skills. So today, it sounded like you went through some responsible decision making, had to make some decisions. Indeed. You did a little self-awareness, some self-reflection. And even you came in here saying that this day was challenging, which was a social and emotional skill because you practiced understanding your emotions right in the current moment. And so I'm proud of you for practicing these skills and you ain't even really know you was doing that, right?
I appreciate you, naming that.
For sure. Course, we gotta name it. Yeah. So listen, as a creative, I'm so happy to have you here because I feel like I'm a creative in my own right. I was a theater minor in college. I used to write plays. I sing. I sing. I do a lot of little stuff that I sometimes can't tap into on a day-to-day. So when I see a true creative, it's like it's almost like a envy, because I'm like, I know this person is like doing exactly what they feel every day. They're like free, you know, like it's like a freedom like place to be, and I always want to be in that. And I think like having this podcast made me really excited to be able to record this, because I'm like, this is my happy space. This is my space where I can lean in and get to know people a little bit more, you know, and also speak to people that inspire me, you know. Right. And as a Black creative, you inspire me, my brother, like you do.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and so I want you to tell me, how can you describe yourself as a Black creative?
That's a great question. In this moment, 2023, I'm in practice. And so that's been like my mantra, my focus this year, is creating a sustainable, as consistent as possible, a flexible, creative practice that's daily, weekly, quarterly, annually. And so I took a class, I treated myself to a class from Alexis Pauline Gumbs, and it's like a daily creative practice. And so, you know, you wake up, I press the play button, and she's like going through quotes from her book or observations from her practice, and then giving you prompts, and then you kind of write and reflect. And honestly, that's like left me inspired. And since then, I started working with my professional coach, Margaret Brunson.
Wow, nice.
And a lot of black women helping me through right here.
Come on, protect the Black women at all costs.
And I'm paying these black women.
Anyway. Yep, that's good. You got to.
Toot my own horn. No, but
love that. Circulate the Black dollars though, for real.
Indeed. But so Margaret's been helping me develop my own daily practice, and like outside of the one that I was doing with through the class. And so, you know, I'm waking up, I'm spending an hour reading, writing reflections, and then every day I'm dedicating that practice to somebody or something that is, you know, present to me in that moment. And so it's just been a great way to like really be grounded in my day before I'm responsible to other people. And so I just have a lot of gratitude for like both of them for being, you know, in my life in different ways and being able to help me you know, develop my practice in that way.
I think one of the things you said that was so good just now was, a lot of times people see successful people and they don't see the work that goes in behind the scenes to be this like successful person, or even just a person that is very well understood of their own emotions or how they react on a daily basis, right? They're constant like mantras, like, what do you do? And it was so good that you led with that as a Black man, because a lot of times people try to hoard those things. They try to be like, oh, this is what I do, but this is not my daily practice. And this is a space that we're creating to really truly share this with Black people, to be like, it's not just about what you see on the outside, but what you're doing every morning that is building you up to be this man that you are today. And that is self-management skills. And so one of the things we look at social emotional learning as like an umbrella, right? And you got all these 5 umbrellas and competencies of SEL. And underneath self-management skills lies self-motivation, right? And self-discipline and organizational skills and time management. And every single successful person that you see has mastered or are mastering self-management skills. And as the Black person, we gotta realize that that's the main skill that we have to have in any of our careers, professionally and personally. Is like understanding how to wake up every morning, take that hour, that much needed time before you even try to go into a space and lead somebody else. You gotta know how to lead yourself, right? And like, it's one of those things, like for me, I cannot function if I don't pray, I don't meditate, I don't read my Bible. I can't function. Like, my day is off. If I'm waking up and I feel like I'm rushing. So like for you, like to be in these coaching courses and to take the time to do this, like organizational development dollars, honestly, you're using that's organizational development.
Oh, it's getting wrote off.
Yeah, exactly, right? And we gotta have those dollars and put to invest in ourselves, because a lot of times it's not an overnight success, and every level is gonna be different. And so like, I want you to tell me, like from this experience, what does a Black creator look like to you? So now I know you Well, before we get into that, I want you to tell me some of the projects you're working on. Like, just some of the things so people can know. If they don't know Derrick Beasley and everything you've done for the Black community, because he's done some things for the Black culture, okay? So everything you've done, just name a few of like some projects and things that you've started, some things you've already done or left behind, or just, you know, have somebody else toss it and pick it up. What have you been a part
of? Yeah. So here in Durham, I worked for like 7 years for Student U, which is a nonprofit that while I was there, they've shifted some of the primary mission a little bit, but it's primarily a college access organization. And so I work with Black and brown youth who are going to be first generation college students. And that's kind of my professional work has mostly been in like community organizing, particularly around education.
Nice.
And so even back when I was living in Atlanta, I was doing organizing, doing place-based organizing around Black parents and getting them engaged in their schools.
What was you living in Atlanta?
This was like 2008 to 15.
We was living in Atlanta at the same time.
I probably seen you in the streets
that's what
somewhere.
I'm saying. For real. I was in Atlanta from 2011 to 2015, then went back to Atlanta 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
Then came to Durham.
I don't think we talked about that.
Yeah.
We gotta have an Atlanta conversation. And so I came back home because I wanted to like use some of those skills and like in the place that I'm from. And I wanted to apply some of the things I learned and like bring it home, you know, in a place that felt more meaningful. Collaborated with Moses, Crystal, Janelle, to start Black August in the Park, which was a big part of my life for 5 years, which is it is a multi-day festival centered around Black liberation movements, particularly as it connects to the prison industrial complex. And so check out Black August in the Park.com if you want to learn more about it. It's still happening. It's dope.
I support Black August. I go to Black August and have a great time.
And one of the things I like about Black August in the Park and Black August is that it's a tradition. Black August is a tradition.
Absolutely.
It's not just like an event. It's something that you each August you have an opportunity to tap in with yourself and community.
Absolutely.
And so so currently the biggest project that I'm working on outside of my daily like creative practice is Tallgrass Food Box. Tallgrass Food Box is a CSA. We source produce from Black farmers from around the state. We have a subscription service. We also have other partnerships where we provide food for food insecure families around the community. And we're I don't know when this is airing, but we're going to be announcing soon enough, so I have to say it. But so we're currently in the process of transitioning Tallgrass to being farmer-owned and operated cooperatively. And so,
come on, congratulations!
I know it's a lot of work. That was one of my calls this morning.
And you know it's crazy. We were at dinner last Friday night with my lawyer and his wife, and they said that they are members of the Tallgrass Group. They're like, we go there. We
Hell
yeah. I said, there you go. But it makes me happy when you know, because we were like, we know the owners of that. They're like, oh wow. They were so shocked. You know, they're right in Durham. They support it, and you know, it's just beautiful to see that.
Yeah, and so our biggest goal with Tallgrass is to pay Black farmers, and so that's we from very early point in our forming, which was like right at the top of the pandemic. We knew we wanted to support and pay Black farmers because you know, and that's a whole rabbit hole we can go down. But you can tap in with us. You can tap in with a number of organizations that I can share, and you can
put it in the link.
If you want to support Black farmers,
tell us where to find it
nationally. Tallgrassnc.com.
Okay, awesome.
Or Tallgrass Food Box. You can throw it in your Googles and it'll pop up.
Check it out.
That's the project that's taking up a lot of space right now, because that transition is not easy. You know, you're talking about building relationships with farmers. You're talking about, you know,
I mean, you're pioneering.
agreeing to things.
That's
hard. You know?
Let's even like just touch on the pioneering work that y'all doing. It's so hard to do something when you look to the right and left of you and it hasn't really been done, or there's no blueprint. You know what I'm saying? And it might have been done years ago, and you might be using a blueprint from there, but it's hard because a lot of times, like, even what I do, you can't Google, you know, this and be like, how to, you know, like, it's not happening. You got to really be innovative. And as a creator, like, what does a Black creator look like to you right now in today's society?
I feel like you've been trying to ask me this question.
I know.
You keep trying to ask me.
I wanted to hit it. I wanted to get
it. Let me just say something because we are doing some new things, but there is a long legacy of black folks invented the co-op.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I'll just say that.
Yep.
As you know, we got plenty of people and resources and a legacy to tap into. And this goes into what I'll say about what a Black creative is. We bring some of that new generation energy, connection to the internet, and connection to community to be able to facilitate the work that we do with farmers. And so I think that's been part of our biggest value add. But I think a Black creative is anybody that wake up in the morning and breathes. Honestly, I think
love it.
It's that's Black.
Yeah.
That's Black. And so I think you said you said something earlier about being a real creative, and I think that's a little bit of a myth, and something that I've been, like I said earlier, I'm dedicating myself more and deeper into practice around what kind of creative energy I want to bring to myself. I'm misquoting, I'm gonna paraphrase. Octavia Butler said something about her practice, and she was saying something around she don't just come up with great ideas out the blue. It's she just writes. She commits to writing all the time.
Therapeutic.
And then those ideas emerge through that practice and through that commitment. So that's where sometimes you do come up with a great idea, but then you realize when I iterate on it, it's so it becomes a better idea. And so my commitment to myself and my practice, and to iterating on an idea, and I think anybody can be is a creative that can do that.
That's dope. I didn't even look at creative like that, and even I'm an author. I started writing 2014.
Hella creative.
And it's
you got a podcast.
I know, right? I do see myself as a creator. I think I just don't operate in a creative space all the time. So it's I realize that sometimes I have to really get out of my element and go into I find myself having to be in the woods a lot, or go into nature, and it's just I scream for it, And as a writer and as a curriculum developer, I started writing curriculums in 2016, and I realized that it took me 6 months to write. I locked in. I went to my parents' house in Sanford, North Carolina, and locked in and wrote and I remember waking up every day and going on their deck, and it's just nothing but trees. And I don't think I've ever been back in a locked in space like that in my professional career. I developed that curriculum so fast, but it was because I was just in a space and that writer, sometimes you get writer's block and you gotta get to an environment. So I guess I could look at that as a creative, y'all. I'm a creative, y'all. I'm gonna own this, because I feel like I am, but I don't feel like I function in that space, because when you have to do every day as a kind of a set. And for me, the beauty of being an entrepreneur is that every day is different. Every day can be different. So what I try to pride myself on is that even though every day may look like I'm in this meeting or I'm doing this, I try to make sure I'm doing something different every day, so I could feel like I am still owning my freedom of of why I became an entrepreneur in the first place.
So what you said around, you said that you wake up every day and you pray and you have your routine or your ritual. To me, that's a social emotional self-management piece. Absolutely. Right? For me, that's what my practice is about. But the part that I'm enjoying the most is the inputs. So I brought some books that we could talk about maybe. But so these are some of what I'm reading in the morning in the last couple of weeks. So it's I just pick a chapter and just read for a few minutes, and it's it's just generative. And so I don't have to. One of my favorite books to give to other people who are oh, I'm trying to be an artist, or I'm trying to tap into my creative. It's How to Steal Like an Artist, and I couldn't tell you the author. We'll pop it up right here.
Right here.
Right. Pop up. But How to Steal Like an Artist, and the premise is just that nothing ain't nothing new under the sun. So it's just the idea that you have to come up with a creative has all these new innovative ideas. It's sometimes, but really it's just about being open to the world around you and gaining inspiration from that. So you said, going to the woods, that's part of my practice too. Is taking a daily breath, outside, and and being open to the inspiration that just exists in the world around us. Like, it's not like you gotta go some deep place in your mind. It's like it's already there. It's already there.
Yeah, it's just like you gotta create the space for it to happen. You know, and I feel like that for me, I really more into my creativity. Like this year, one of my goals is to do more poem writing. Like I really want to. Like I presented a poem at the Black SEL Summit, and that was the first time that I ever like said a poem out loud.
It was like spoken word.
It was spoken word. And when I see like listen, like Black SEL, I think it was Black SEL is relevant, baby. You know, so I talked about how I grew up, and you know, I was always told that I was loud, I was like talkative, and all these things. And I came home and told my mom, and my mom said, you know, if you're talkative, that means you're a public speaker. You know, if you're loud, that means you're courageous. Like, you know, she flipped it for me real quick, and that changed my entire life. But I talked about how she told me that as a Black person, we'll always be relevant. It's never gonna end.
As long as Black exists.
As long as Black exists, we'll continue to be relevant. Yeah. And then I realized how, you know, Black SEL was relevant in that. But that's one of my goals, is to write more this year, but write from a poetic standpoint and do spoken word. And as I speak, instead of just speaking, people call me and speak. I want to speak in poetry. I want to speak in spoken word. And that's important to me because I feel like that's another pipe way to being creative, because I felt like that was the first time in my life. And I mean, I've spoke all over the world. I've spoken for years, since 2015. That was the first time in my life that I felt so free when I was speaking. I mean, so comfortable. I never play myself back when I watch myself speak. I'm like, it's out there, just it's there. You know what I'm saying? I hate that. But this, I watched it over and over because I noticed that I felt so comfortable in it that I felt like I had tapped into something that was truly me, my authentic self. And so like, I think that like, exciting. Yeah, it's exciting. And it also was like, and it makes me almost emotional because it's like at 35 to tap into that, like, it's like, wow, it took me so long, but it was like the perfect timing. You know what I'm saying? For me to feel like this is what makes me alive. And any creative out there right now, like really like wanting to like know your purpose, just try it out. Like figure out what works for you. You know, if it's writing, if it's painting, if it's, you know, rapping. I know we be having freestyle Friday battles, you know, all the time. Like I be over here hyping them up and everything. Like I'm not the right person.
My mediocre bars.
Right. My mic sounds nice. You know, but listen, we literally have these moments, and it makes us free. It makes us like, this is what Black people love to do. You know, and it's like a liberating act for us almost. You know what I'm saying? So tell me, it was something that you said that I read in your bio that I really connected with, and I don't think I've heard this from many creatives. But one of it was like, you asked 3 questions: what would make this world better? How can I, meaning Beasley, work to create it today? And what do I need to heal in myself to create it? I feel like a lot of times hurt people, right? And we always do these things, we jump into things, and we don't realize we got a lot of hurt going on, and we don't take the time to heal before we produce things and put it to the world. So when you said, what do I need to heal in myself to create, it was one sense of like you being aware that there's something that's broken, either with trauma, it's past hurt, right? And then also saying, I won't put something out until I know that it's truly my authentic self, and that whatever that was broken is healing in the process of being created. So like, tell me, you know, you create out of a sense of responsibility to your community. I want you to elaborate on like what that means to you in your day-to-day work. What is the sense to your community, and why is that so important to you?
Yeah, so I think one, I've had that statement on my website for a little while, and I be thinking, sometimes like, but I think when it comes, the idea behind it is maybe still is always relevant for me. I think like we all in this world together, you know, and we need each other. Yeah. And so I think a question is like, all right, so then what is my role? Like, what do I contribute to making this world safe and like enjoyable and just good for myself, but also for the people that I'm in community with. And so and in some way, you know, it's hard to even put a finger on it. But my mom was a social worker.
Yeah, so you got that root.
It's in my DNA. And her mama was like the head of social work in Chattanooga. You know those little books in the grocery store. They'd be like African Americans of Durham. My grandma was in like the African Americans of Chattanooga.
So, grandma.
You know what I mean? Evelyn Barnett.
Okay, shout out to Evelyn Barnett. Madam Grandma Evelyn Barnett. You know,
my dad was a preacher too. Even though I didn't grow up in the house of my father, but you know, so I think I get it from all angles. Like this idea of like I'm invested in my community, and I have skills that can contribute to making my community, you know, whole. And so that's where it comes from for me. And you know, I got a very specific set of skills.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Take it.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so I just feel like it's my duty to leverage those for the people around me that I care about and I love and that I'm accountable to and that I'm in community with. And so, you know, it's something to balance. Like, I'm not saying I feel like I need to be a martyr for the community or like, but I do feel like, you know, I get so much, and so I just want to make sure I'm in a reciprocal relationship with my community that pours into me so much. That's the goal, you know.
You know, you said something that I want to tap into. Right? It's not something that we talked about, but you not even certain skills. Not for real. You said something about your father was in the household, and I didn't know my father growing up. Still don't know my father. Never met him. Nothing. And it's crazy because I have a beautiful, wonderful stepfather. You know, that came in 6 years old. But I was always like, "You're not my father." You know, when I was in that teenage stage, now we like super close. But it's one of those things in the Black community that's like, "What are you talking about?" Like a man came in and stepped in and he showed up for you, but I had this mentality of, "You're not my dad." But as creatives, I think it's beautiful because all these things that could have hurt us or could have made us really go on the wrong path because we didn't have a certain person in that role, such as a father, is actually a part of our story. Yeah. And tell me just quickly how, like, is there anything you could say that piece that like really added to your story? Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't prepared to answer that question, I know. But I'll take a step. Okay, all right. You know, well, I say the first thing that comes to mind is that my mom, even though there was enough that she could have been like, you know, we don't need you. But you know, she never framed him as like a villain in our eyes. Yeah. So good, because we got some issues in the Black community. We got some issues doing that. You know, well, yeah, and brothers got some reasons why they be getting villain. Exactly. You know, so. There was a lot there that could have been in the front, and that's not how she framed our relationship. And so, you know, we would go up there, me and my sister, who shared the same father, we would go up there, you know, in the summers sometimes and holidays sometimes and spend time, especially when we were little. And so, you know, that was good. Yeah, you know, healthy. And then also my mom did remarry, and so so my stepdad, and they're no longer married now. But my stepdad, he was definitely, he still lives. He helped me put my kitchen in the crib. Oh, you know what I mean? It's like a good relationship, and you know, he's the father of my youngest brother. Okay. And so, but yeah, so you know, in addition to that relationship, my mom, you know, looking back, she was always trying to bring like a good brother into my life somehow. Whether it was like as a coach or like a neighbor, she would like just kind of not drop me off, but you know, she would kind of like you know, keep those people. It's like, oh, Derrick, you trying to like sharpen your baseball skills? Well, go talk to you know, maybe Mr. Palmer can help you. You know, shout out Mr. Palmer, the Durham legend. And, I love that though. And you know, just other people that she was working with, or people in community, different coaches. She would kind of try to endear me towards them to kind of, you know, just make sure I had folks around me. And my mom, I feel like community is important to her. So that's largely where I get that from. And I'm like, as a creative, like just thinking about these different role models that was integrated in your life and that was positioned by your mom. You know, thinking about how that creates your story. Because, I mean, as you're creating, thinking about these things, like, cause are you painting still? Or are you?
Yeah, I do a little. I just kind of started dabbling in paint. I've been doing mostly like photography and digital collage stuff as of late, but started to start playing with some oils.
Oils, I know. One of my things is I wanted to get like little canvases, just do little splashes here, because that's like stuff that like when people say like what SEL, one of the things that we focus on is stress management. Like how do you actually deal with stress? And a lot of people in the Black community don't. And like even thinking about how I was raised, you know, didn't know my father, I had a lot of stress, and you know, I didn't have a way out to deal with it, you know. And so when I created Dangerous of Mind, the program, I actually created it for Black kids that would create safe spaces. It would be like cognitive behavior therapy in just an innovative way. So they were like big therapy sessions where these kids writing, you know, they was doing rap songs about their brokenness. They was getting up and doing skits about fear, but it was actually therapy, right? And I think it's important for us to realize what those outlets look like. And as a creative, I think for you, like when did you start realizing like, oh shoot, I'm actually creative. Like I'm a little different than the rest. Because there's some moments where you was probably like, I ain't like everybody else.
Well, I don't even know if I ever framed it in that I was different from others, but I think I remember in second grade, and you know, I did this mural, this like bulletin board winter scene mural that still stands out as this masterpiece. If I looked at it now, it's probably terrible, but.
But they saw vision.
But it was one of those things where I was like, ooh, like I loved creating this. Like I felt proud of it. And I was affirmed around it, you know, by my teacher, Miss Penix. You know what I mean? Shout out to Miss Penix. Right. I wish I could find Miss Penix.
Listen, you gotta be affirmed though. That's a village right there.
From Hillendale in the 90s. Y'all know.
Right.
Reach out.
Tell Miss
Help me connect.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because she was one of my earliest examples of like a good teacher. And so but yeah, I did that winter scene, and that really, I remember saying like in conversations with other students, was like, yeah, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a baseball and a basketball player and an artist.
I want it all.
Definitely not a basketball player, but I did play baseball in high school, and I still play recreational, you know, sports, softball. So you know, that's still in my life in a very like fun and healthy way. Yeah, so I think very early on I recognized myself as an artist, and I did have to definitely in elementary school, and then even in like middle school we used to draw the shoes and stuff. So we used to do these like shoe designs where we would draw like the outline. This was like at the height of the age of myself, but this was like the height of the Jordan era. You know what I mean? Like when they were coming out the first time. You know what I mean? So it was crazy. People were dying.
Out here killing people for the Jordans.
It was nuts. They had Family Matters episodes talking about it. You go kill them for these shoes. You know what I mean? Like, Carl Winslow. Shout out to Carl.
Shout out to Carl. And what was it? Stephon and Steve Urkel.
Right. So, you know, we used to, we used to draw and design the shoes, and I always thought of myself as an artist, but kind of informally, and that was one of the places where I think I would have loved some more of a push towards, you know. And my mom was, she you know, that's not enough.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not.
You know what I mean?
Listen, back in the day, our parents were so busy trying to maintain. Like, I was
plugged into a lot of stuff though, so that's why I wasn't. She plugged me into a lot of stuff. You know what I mean?
I can't do it all. Get it where you fit it.
Yeah, I mean, so, but so I think, but then coming back, I kind of like, it was always there, and I even studied graphic design in college for like a year or two, and then I changed to sociology.
Okay.
And I was always doing design work, you know, it was kind of continuous from a child, but really it wasn't until like a conversation I had with my friend Stephen Hayes, who's a prolific artist based here in Durham.
Okay.
Check him out. And so, you know, I was trying to make some work for the crib, just like some little cute stuff for the crib, and he was kind of showing me some techniques, and that really got me with my hands, like back doing woodwork stuff. So I was like, oh, this is, you know, that coupled with basically inheriting my grandfather's cameras. So he was an amateur photographer. He had a bunch of dope stuff.
Much history to that.
And this is when I was in Atlanta, and so I took him up to P Street Camera in Marietta, got him cleaned and worked on, And then that's when I kind of started getting into photography. So it was all kind of around the same-ish time, around 2012 or something like that. And so I was like, oh, and then when I moved back to Durham, I just claimed it. I'm an artist.
I'm an artist. That's what I do now. But it's history though. A lot of times people don't talk about the history of that. Like you taking your grandfather's cameras, like that's rich history. That's just not like I just woke up one day and was like, oh, I want to be an artist.
Them joints got stolen too.
Oh man,
Crazy.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
I already knew it. I already knew it.
I ain't even gonna get into the
right,
story.
Right,
It's a crazy
story. I have enough time today. We're going to sit down and talk about our stories in Atlanta because I got some. So listen, how do you feel about self-confidence in the aspect of a Black creative? Like how important is self-confidence in the Black creative today?
Yeah, I think confidence is very important, but important in that it helps you commit to your practice, like that lets you know that like you're able to tell yourself that you're worthy of a commitment to practicing, because that's the only thing you can really control to a degree. It's like you can't control being dope or other people liking you or liking your work or even understanding your work, and we can talk about that too, but like commitment to practice and going deep and examining and asking questions around why you're making the certain decisions in your work. I think that interrogation of my work, like that critical interrogation of my work has been important recently and helped me kind of push it to just a level that I didn't know was there, you know? And so that's been really exciting. And it is a confidence thing, to know that you can question yourself or put yourself in community and conversations with others who will interrogate why or ask you the hard questions, but that you can grow from that. So the fear will tell you, like, don't ask questions because the answer is potentially devastating. But
hey, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about money.
Yeah, hella sensitive, yo, because it's mad personal.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the confidence piece is important because it allows you to push through the fear of like rejection or possibilities or around there not being possibilities around your work.
Yeah.
And so being not fearless but courageous and which is fueled by that confidence is like, all right, I'm gonna put myself in conversation with people who are gonna challenge me. I'm gonna commit to this daily even if I don't have a particular productive outcome. And so like me writing and reading every morning has not been about like producing something specific, but it's been about opening myself up to the ideas with the confidence that it's gonna that I'm feeding myself, that I'll be fed and then be able to go, do work. Not that like all right, I'm gonna consume this and this is definitely it's not because it's not one for one, right? Yeah. And so that commitment to daily input and output, and not being productivity driven, takes a certain level of confidence that like you'll come up with something or that something will emerge. And so
this is so good because I mean I'm just really happy to hear this because you are practicing self-awareness skills all day long because you're literally telling me what you're telling me is accurate self-perceptions. And so what lies underneath the domain of self-awareness is a skill called accurate self-perceptions. So that's not just you perceiving how you are, but then taking your team around you or people around you and actually holding you accountable for what you say you are. So like for instance, I always tell people, what are your 3 core values, right? When I speak and people are like, oh, mine is integrity and loyalty and kindness. And I'm like,
why we always say loyalty?
Loyalty, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, okay, so if I went and asked your best friend, would they say that, oh yeah, no, all day, loyalty, accountability, or integrity, kindness? Or would they be like, you got a little work on the integrity piece, or you got to work on. So the accurate self-perceptions is not just for you saying this is who I am, but then going back to your tribe and making sure it's accurate, right? And that's a good way what you just talked about. Yeah. But then also it's the self-confidence piece that's important, and then lastly it's the self-efficacy. So what I wanted to highlight to you is that once you do that accurate self-perception piece, and then you go down to encouraging yourself and affirming yourself, which is a self-confidence, and then that last thing that you really are going to focus on is that self-efficacy. So it's evaluating your performance every day. And so to the Black community, I want y'all to understand how important it is as creatives or just Black people in any profession to make sure you are evaluating your performance. What did I do today that was great? What did I do today that could be better? And then when we talk about, you know, self-awareness, is also like, what are my strengths and what are my limitations? What am I really, really good at? What I really have to work on? And so that's really, like, really important. But I think that for you, like, highlighting that self-confidence piece and allowing yourself to get your tribe around to be like, you know, I got to tell you some things about it. And it might hurt. And it might make you a little insecure, right? It might make you like, I thought this was great. But you're working on that.
But it makes you more secure. You know what I mean? Like, so one of my little bedtime audiobooks is this Atlas of the Heart, Brene Brown. Shout out to Brene Brown.
Shout out to Brene Brown.
Shout out to Brene.
Yeah, I know. She sure is. For real.
No, but one of the things last night, it was just talking about, you know, the people that are, I'm botching it up, but it was just about being confident, like self-confident and being more secure is when you're able to, like, we might have to chop this up.
Yeah, it's fine. We got you.
Yeah. It was just speaking to that idea of, like, the people that you're just gonna go further the more vulnerable you are, and like that's what it was.
Got it.
The more vulnerable you are makes the other person feel more secure, even if, like, in like a relationship, even if, you know, you're saying challenging things. And I've been experiencing that recently, like in a situation I'm in. It's like the more open I am and the more open we are, even if it's hard, right? Like the more secure you feel on the other end, because at least we know what's up.
At least we know what's up, and at least we feel like we're getting the truth from somebody versus hiding, and then like you're questioning or you overanalyzing. Yeah. So that's real.
Yeah,
that's real.
So and then that confidence increases. Like the more, it's like the more vulnerable you are, and the more that vulnerability is like responsibly held by the people that care about you and love about you. It's like, oh, I'm empowered to be even more vulnerable all the time.
Right.
And to make that a life choice.
And I think that's good you say that, because in our Black community, we gotta reinforce this vulnerability piece, this transparent piece. And, you know, here at Black SEL, we focus on the relatability. Welcome to Black SEL.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
Right. That's it. You got what's happening. So we're going to wrap up really quickly, but before we do, I want you to tell me two more things. The last thing, or the second to last thing, is what are you currently reading? Or I know you brought some books here today. You could share these with our listeners.
Yeah.
Let us know, you know. Yeah. You know, why you reading these, and what you doing with it?
Yeah. So the two books that I'm reading that I'm enjoying the most right now, there's one by Henry Dumas called Goodbye Sweetwater. And can I read it?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to peek.
Nah. So there's another artist called or poet named Eugene Redmond that I'm not really that familiar with, but he did the introduction to this book, and he describes Dumas's work, and the way he describes his work is like how I want my work to be described. You know what I mean? So he says he gives us interior songs, stories from the viscera. And I was like, which to me I read as like he just really taps into like the nuance and not from like the white gaze. It's like, this is the song, this is what's inside of us. And he just says it plainly, and it's like, I want to be able to create things that resonate with people emotionally, and kind of just off the back. I mean, without having to even necessarily understand, like intellectually necessarily, but you can feel it. That's what I hope to do with my art.
I love it.
And so Dumas he's a poet, he's an author, he's a surrealist. Before Afro-surrealism was like coined as a phrase. So
what is it?
Afro-surrealism.
I don't think I've heard of this. Afro-surrealism. Ooh, I gotta look into that.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah, Afro-surrealism. Something new.
The other is called Intimate Direct Democracy. This has been very exciting. So, it's about Fort Mose, the Great Dismal Swamp, and the human quest for freedom. So, basically, it's talking about maroon communities, which are communities where folks have like basically created their own like isolated community outside of like colonialism. And oftentimes black folks would be like, go to the swamp and be in community with indigenous folks. And so this is like where we would go. You know, you might escape slavery, enslavement. And then you go find community and build community out here in this swamp area, which is thought of as like a place where it's not viable for living. It can't. But he talks about it as being a place where it's not viable for like capitalist exploitation. But that doesn't mean it's not viable for living. Swamps are actually incredibly biodiverse. They're actually essential for like the ecological health of our world. And so that reframing of like what a swamp is really critical to the work, the art that I'm creating right now, which is all about how do we improve, how do we examine our relationship to the environment, how do we need to shift that relationship, and what do we need to maintain in that current relationship to survive like this next era of climate change that's happening. You know,
I love it.
So these are two books that I'm reading a few different things. But,
those are good.
Yeah, that's what's kind of feeding me right now. So I'm excited about. Yeah.
Check those out. And then the last question we have, because we want our creatives to feel seen and feel heard and all those great things. So like, you know, tell us a couple of encouraging words that, you know, like you can even speak right in the camera if you want to the Black creative, you know, like what words would you tell them if they feel like they're in a space where they're struggling right now, where they're just trying to find their way out? Like what's some encouraging words that you would give to the Black creative?
I'll just come back to practice. That's really been encouraging because I was needing some encouragement, and you know, wake up in the morning and try to dedicate some time to yourself. Read something short, listen to some interesting music, and just be with yourself and write. And I think that's something most of us can do. But it's been transformative for me. Yeah. So
I love that.
I hope that is
I
helpful.
I love that. You know, this has been such an insightful episode for me personally, and an episode that like is really like challenging me now currently to be like, I need to tap into the most creative being that I've ever been at this age of my life.
Feels like you are.
Yeah, like I feel like I am. It's coming.
We here. We doing
coming.
this right now.
We're coming. I mean, for real. This is giving me life. You know, to be able to just hear about you as a creative, and then about you like what you said, like everybody's creative. You wake up and you have breath in your lungs, you're creative, you know, and that's deep to me, but it's also very profound because I want to continue to look at myself as such as well. And just I'm excited about what you're going to continue to create, you know, what you've inspired me to start creating now, and just, you know, whoever you've inspired that's listening to us, which I can only imagine the people that probably never thought they were creators in the first place, but you've affirmed them today, you know,
You are creative.
You are creative, you know. So this is Black SEL.
Blackity black, the black.
Blackity black. So thank y'all
backpack.
so much. Oh, you trying to do a freestyle real quick? Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all next episode. Thank you, Derrick. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Beasley, you know, look him up. Check out his website. All the things, we'll have it in the links. Support his work. For real, support the Black creators' work in our community. Yes, buy his art, you know, collectively. In bulk.
Collected.
Oh, collected. Yes,
but
collected.
Collectively, if you
collectively,
need.
too.
We got payment plans.
What is that payment thing? I don't know what it's called, but you got everything.
We got afterpay.
We got afterpay. You know what I'm saying? Get it all.
Get your friends. You don't have to pay.
Oh, see, that's where that bar is coming in. Listen, you got ketchup. But listen, thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate you, Beasley. Thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next episode.